Welcome to Active Self-Protection Extra. We are back at Ben Avery's shooting facility with my friend Matt Haught from Simtac Consulting. We are talking about patterning different shotgun rounds today, and we're going to do that out of two different guns. This guy, Mbogo, and my Beretta 1301 Langdon Tactical. We're going to do it with 4 rounds. We're going to do it with a number 4 buck, a Federal Flight Control 8 pellet double-aught buck, a ye olde cheapo 9 pellet buckshot double-aught buck, and a Remington Magnum 3-inch high brass 15 pellet buck. Big Tex Outdoors has holsters, accessories, optics, and other parts that you need as a self-defender. I'm one of his customers and I recommend him highly. Check out the page on our website with our favorite deals. So first of all, Matt, you're gonna have to tell us a little bit about Mbogo because it's a bit of a special shotgun.
So this is a gun that I thought up a sighting system, and I went to Van Comp and I said, hey, is there anything out there that will do this? They said no. But they worked with me to develop one. It's kind of a one-off. They're not offering it for sale or anything. It's just a little...
It's a snowflake.
It's a snowflake. But it's based around an old-time African dangerous game rifle. So you've got, I don't know if you can see it on there, but you've got an XS regular dot in the front, and then you've got a big wide U-notch on the rear, which gives you a big wide open kind of express-style sight picture. Very fast, almost like running a bead. And then I can flip this little notch up, and that is zeroed for my preferred slug load at 50 yards.
Wow.
So I've got the precision when I need it and the speed when I need it.
Cool. And barrel special?
This is a Van Comp barrel. They cut down a vent rib barrel that I had to 14 inches, so it is a papered NFA gun.
Yep.
So it's a 14-inch vent rib barrel. I really like vent ribs on a shotgun barrel. I find it brings my eye to the target faster.
Okay.
That may just be me.
Maybe, maybe not, but
I dig it. But this has had the Van Comp back boring and forcing cone lengthening to give tighter patterns.
So this gun will give a tighter pattern than the shotgun you're going to buy at Cabela's.
Oh yes.
By a long shot.
Oh yes.
So let's see what it does with each one of these loads.
Yeah. Now it can only do so much. So if we feed it super crap, it may not do as well, but it's still going to do better than your average gun with,
absolutely,
with super
right?
crap.
But, and also, I want to say, so wait a minute, we talk with you all about this all the time. Every shotgun is a snowflake.
Every single one. So every barrel's different.
Every barrel's so just because it works well in your shotgun doesn't mean it'll work well in mine.
No.
So you have to pattern your gun with your load.
So you absolutely have to pattern your gun to see where it prints and how it patterns with a given load, because they're all going to be different. Another thing to consider is your point of aim, point of impact with your buckshot may not be the same as your slug. You may find that, you know, buckshot A patterns the tightest out of your gun, but buckshot B patterns almost as tightly, but hits to the same point of impact as your chosen slugs. All of this stuff comes into play, and the only way to find out about it is to go out and test it.
And that makes shotgunning an art more than a science.
There's quite a bit of it there, yeah.
Let's shoot them. Number 4 buckshot. Super hard to find.
Yeah, you don't see too much of it in the U.S. Eyes and ears, good to go.
Very interesting. We slide over. Federal Flight Control 8 pellet double-aught. Also very interesting. Cheap SB 9 pellet double-aught buck. Oh. And now Remington Express Magnum 15 pellet double-aught buck high brass.
3-inch Mangalums.
3-inch beat your shoulder off.
Yeah.
Let's go take a look. Okay, so point of aim, head box, at 15 yards, look at this number 4 buck. I mean, you got pellets way, I mean, an extreme spread here of probably 24, 25 inches.
Yeah, this is not like number 4 buck. Interesting.
That is an interesting pattern. I would definitely call this not usable as a home defense round because you're going to have patterns all over the place. Even if I was aiming here center mass, I got pellets all over this. Interesting. Look at what we got here. So we have this nice little, not even fist size out of a 14-inch barrel. People ask me why I love that. Now this is obviously the wad, right? So we don't care about that. But we get this nice tight pattern, less than a fist size at 15 yards. That might be a clue.
Yeah.
Now this is that cheapy 9 pellet stuff, okay? Let's see if we have them on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But aiming here, we have an extreme spread here of probably 12 inches. That's a pretty big pattern. I think if I was aiming center of mass, I'd be probably right on the edge.
Another thing to notice here, and this is something we see frequently with this old style buckshot,
The circle.
is you get this donut of death. Guess what? That's where I was aiming. That's where I wanted to put hits. Do you see any hits there? Nope.
Nope.
All my hits are out here in the periphery.
So you see that circle open up. So you see the shot kind of open up in this older stuff like that and leave the center empty, which is pretty interesting.
Yep. And this actually shoots that particular load better than some of my non-vanged barrels. So if this is what it's doing with a vang barrel, imagine what it's doing with your typical, Wally World cylinder barrel gun.
Yeah.
It's going to be woof.
Yeah.
This actually surprised me.
This actually is better than I was thinking it was gonna be. So do we have them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm gonna say that's probably
15. Yeah, there's 2 pellets here.
Probably 15 in that. So we do have all of our pellets and actually grouped around what you shot pretty darn well.
It did. I have never seen a 15 pellet Magnum buckload pattern that well.
Now that said, here at 15 yards, I'd say we have an extreme spread here, probably around 14, 15 inches.
Yep. Remember that movie Super Troopers where he says, that little guy, don't worry about that little guy? You need to worry about these little guys.
These little guys you need to worry about.
You need to worry about these little guys.
If I slid this down here, man, I'm not a big fan of that. So
it doesn't, so there's 2 schools of thoughts on patterning. And I think they're both valid in their proper context. The school of thought that I tend to go with for most of my needs is that a tight pattern gives me more wiggle room to screw up my aiming.
Yep.
So if I'm aiming here and the pattern's small and it hits over here, well, I've still put all the pellets on the bad guy. The other school of thought is that if you have a big pattern, you can be off in your aiming and still put some pellets on the bad guy. I don't like that for my context of civilian home defense.
Right. Because those pellets are going somewhere.
Yeah. Every pellet hits something.
Right.
I want to control what they hit.
Amen.
Now, if you're like jungles of Vietnam,
and you don't care,
and it's a free fire zone, whatever, then yeah, that wide, like a duckbill choke or something like that, that makes sense in that context. But this is not my context as a civilian home defense situation kind of thing.
So, Matt, in your gun, given those choices of patterning, what would you load?
Oh, 8 pellet flight control all day.
Let's go try it out of my Langdon 1301. Same 4 rounds with this is an LTT Elite Beretta 1301 Tactical that I shot the heck out of at Shotgun Instructor. It's running a red dot, and Matt's gonna do the honors here as well because he is going to, that eliminates a problem. That eliminates the difference in shooters. Number 4. Safety's on the other side.
Oh, yeah, that's right, you lefties. I tell you, that number 4's got some smoke to it.
Yeah, it does. That's high brass, man. That stuff is no joke, huh? All right, we move over here. Federal Flight Control 8 pellet double aught. I know exactly what this one's gonna do.
Yeah, me too. It's funny how that works. Yeah, that was like half the recoil of that number 4.
Well, yeah, that's that reduced recoil wad too, right? Okay, cheapy 9 pellet double aught. It's actually patterned all right.
Yeah, that's not bad. This
and
thing
the
likes
big
that.
high brass 15 pellet Magnum double aught.
Oh yeah. He's got the safety set up the wrong-handed. I turn the safety off and it doesn't shoot. Woo! Yeah!
Let's go down and take it. This actually didn't pattern terribly.
It's about the same.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, if you look at it, it's just this one. You're seeing everything off the target because it's a head. Yeah, this one, it kept pretty much all of them in the guts, but it's still, that's not.
I mean, this is a big pattern. You're talking here an extreme spread of probably 15, 16 inches.
Yeah, which is about what you would expect out of most typical old school buckshot.
So the pattern on it, some people might be okay with. Hold on for the ballistics gel testing though.
Well, and here's something else. Number 4 buck has smaller pellets, so you will probably, all other things being equal, probably see less penetration in building materials out of this stuff. So if you live in a dense area, you know, you have neighbors nearby, this might be an acceptable trade-off at close distances in order to get that reduced. Yeah, well, everything's a trade-off.
Right? Hey, look.
Except flight control. Flight control is just awesome.
Flight control here, we have all 8 pellets right here. I mean, that's like a 2-inch pattern at 15 yards, and that's how this gun shoots flight control. It just shoots the 8 pellet flight control like that. I get from the Rangemaster shotgun instructor, we were shooting 25-yard buckshots, and I was getting a 5-inch pattern. I mean,
you know, a couple of years ago, we did a class out in Pennsylvania, and John Johnston, our friend John Johnston, had a 14-inch Mossberg that had one of the Vangcomp flight control optimized barrels.
Oh yeah.
And we were shooting that number 1 buck at 50 yards, the flight control number 1 buck. So
wow.
15 pellets per shot at 50 yards on one of these targets. 2 rounds, 27 pellets in the silhouette at 50 yards.
Holy Moses. All right, the cheapy stuff. Let's see what we got here.
You know, that ain't terrible.
That's not terrible. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay.
But you're still getting that kind of donut. At this distance, it's not a big deal. As you get further back, it becomes a big deal.
Now, again, though, so here I've got a, you know, maybe an 8-inch pattern, 9-inch pattern. It's not too bad.
That's acceptable for what I would consider average home defense inside your house.
Yeah, not too bad. Now, would I rather have that or the 8 pellet flight control? I'll take that.
I'd take the flight control every day.
Now, this guy was a bit of a yeehaw.
Yeah, notice the difference between my gun patterned it relatively tightly,
and this,
and yours is like,
those 15 pellets, it was like, wee, they just throw them all out there and see what the heck happens. So, I mean, this is a pretty extreme patterning here on this particular load. And so I know some people go, oh, I want that, you know, Magnum 15 pellets because it's so badass. I don't know, man. I wouldn't like this over one of the other two.
So I tell you what, dude, I don't see any need for 3-inch Magnum buckshot for a defensive scenario.
Not for home defense.
Not unless you're defending against a bear.
Right.
And then there's specialty loads for that.
For a specialty hunting application, you got it.
Exactly, context.
Yeah.
But that 8 pellet flight control, I can shoot that faster, I can hold more rounds in the tube, I can have more accountability of where my pellets go. That is a better load for a defensive context in every way than this stuff.
Now, I think the other thing that I see here is what you get out of this is you get a swarm, okay? So you got 15 pellets that immediately kind of head out like this, and they're in like a swarm of rounds, rather than the flight control that you get a column, that you get this column of bullets that's all gonna hit that same spot. And then, you know, when it hits flesh, it's going to do this thing where it's going to go, God knows, you know what I mean, all kinds of over the place. So for me, for that shotgun, I'm going to load 8 pellet flight control double-aught buck all day long because it definitely does the best. I think this I wouldn't love too much. Actually, that cheapy 9 pellet stuff out of your gun, not too shabby. But the 4, man, I get your context with that, but man, I think we need to shoot the gel because I think it's going to show us I don't like that stuff. But for your shotgun, you better pattern your load.